If you see lantern light in the woods where nobody should be walking, keep your mouth shut and keep moving. That's it. That's the only part that matters. Everything else is just how it happened to us. This was last November, up in the Appalachians, same land my family's been hunting on longer than I've been alive. I grew up hearing the same warnings everyone around here does. Stay off that ridge after dark. If you hear people singing out there, go the other way. If you see lights off in the timber, act like you didn't. We never took any of it seriously. Me and my brother Cal were just pulling trail cameras before winter set in. Nothing weird, nothing brave. Just one last run before the cold got worse. Gray sky, wet leaves. That kind of cold that gets into your hands and doesn't leave. We got the first 2 cameras easy. The third one was near a split oak above an old wash. There was a path if you knew where to look, but Cal cut off it through the laurel to save time. I told him to stay on the trail. He waved me off. Then the ground dropped under him. One second he was there, next second everything gave way and he disappeared into brush and rot. By the time I got to him, he was down in a washout, twisted up under branches. His right leg was bent wrong below the knee. I looked once. I didn't look again. He was awake, breathing fast, trying to keep it together. I started climbing down and he said, "Don't move me." Real calm. Too calm. There was no signal down there. I climbed until I got one bar and called Mason. Told him everything. Where we were, what happened. He said he could be there in 45 minutes. I told him to bring lights. More than one. When I got back to Cal, the pain had set in. You could see it in his hands. Couldn't keep them still. I gave him water, got my coat under him, wrapped him up as best I could. He kept looking up through the trees like he was watching the light disappear. How long? About an hour. He nodded. Then he grabbed my wrist. "Don't leave me here in the dark." I should have stayed. That's it. That's the whole thing. I should have stayed with him. Instead, I told him I needed to meet Mason and guide him in. Said I'd be right back. Then I left him there. The fastest way down was an old cut my grandfather used to take. Not really a trail anymore. Just a thin break through the brush where people used to pass. About halfway down, I heard singing. I stopped because it didn't belong there. Couldn't make out words, just voices drifting up from somewhere below. Slow, even. No talking in between, no laughing, just singing. There's nothing out there. No houses, no church, no camps anybody still uses. I told myself it was farther away than it sounded. Sounds move strange in those woods. So I kept going. Mason was waiting at the gate with the engine running. He had blankets, rope, a med kit, and enough lights that for a second I thought maybe we could still get Cal out before it got worse. We drove as far as we could, then went the rest on foot. By then it was fully dark under the trees. Not the kind of dark your eyes adjust to. The kind that just stays there. We moved fast. Too fast. Twice he had to grab me because I was drifting off the path. Then Cal yelled. I heard my name first. Then I heard something in his voice that didn't make sense. Relief. He thought someone had made it to him. I started down toward him. Mason grabbed me. Wait. That's when I saw the lights. At first I thought they were just reflections. Then one moved between the trees. Then another. Then more. Lanterns. Too many. They weren't wandering. They were moving like they knew exactly where they were going. Toward him. Cal shouted again, "I'm down here." And then they all stopped at the same time. One lifted slightly higher than the others, and a voice called back, "We hear you." That's when I knew something was wrong. Mason leaned in close. "Kill your light." We did. After that, we moved through the brush on our hands and knees, slow, quiet. Branches dragging across our faces, leaves slipping under our hands. The closer we got, the quieter everything became. That was worse than noise. When we finally got close enough to see through the brush, I didn't understand what I was looking at. There was a clearing, not natural. The ground flattened out in an oval around a long stone. White cloth hanging from branches. Trucks parked back under trees. And people. A lot of them. Not dressed strange, just normal clothes. Boots, jackets, work pants. Like they belonged there. They had Cal on the stone. He was still alive, trying to get up, and they kept putting him back down. Not rough. That's what I can't get over. They handled him like he was sick, like they'd done it before. A hand on his chest, a hand on his wrist, someone brushing his hair back. He was crying, trying not to. One woman leaned in and said, "Hold still," like she was helping him. Then Cal turned his head, looked straight toward the brush, toward me, and he said my name, quiet, like he thought he could still keep me from being noticed. Ben. I started to stand up. Mason dragged me back down. There are rifles. I barely heard him. One of the men near the stone started speaking. Didn't sound right. Like something that used to be scripture, but got twisted over time. The others answered him, low, all together. Cal got one arm up. Someone took it and laid it back down to his chest, like he belonged there. Then a woman near the edge said, "There's someone else." Everything in me locked up. One of the men turned and looked straight where I was. "You just stay put. Quiet." Then he looked back at Cal and said, "Leave him where he is for now." Cal heard that. And whatever hope he still had in me went out right there. That was the worst part. Not the lights, not the clearing. Him knowing I was there, and I wasn't coming. I'm not going to walk through all of it. I don't need to. He stayed awake too long. That's enough. What I remember are pieces. A kid coughing near the trucks, the smell of hot metal, someone wiping blood off his face, and then his scream. Every bird in those trees took off at once. Mason started dragging me back, and this time I went. We crawled uphill, in the dark. Something moved off to our side, keeping pace with us. Then Cal stopped screaming, and the singing came back. Same voices, same slow rise and fall. After that, everything breaks up. Mud in my mouth, leaves under my hands. Mason behind me saying, "Don't look back." For a long time, I told it differently. That we made it out, that we got help, that they found him later. Enough of it was true that I could believe the rest. Until it started falling apart. Until things didn't line up anymore. until I couldn't remember Mason's face, until I heard singing outside my own house, until I realized there was no house, no drive home, no getting out. The last real thing was that clearing, then the climb, then hands, a lantern set down in front of me, someone saying, "Get him deeper." That was me. They got Cal, then Mason, then me. Everything after that was something I made to survive it. The singing is closer now. The lights are back, and I don't have anything left to hide behind. So listen. If you hear singing in the woods, keep walking. If you see lanterns where there shouldn't be any, don't answer them. And if you think you made it out, don't spend the rest of your life assuming that means anything. Thank you for listening. If you like what you heard, there's another story on the screen. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.